Hello, friends and mortals. I'm Ray Review, and I invite you to come closer because it's darker than you think. This is where true crime is told by me, Aries goddess and keeper of dark stories. Every episode, we tell one dark story, the history that rhymes, and the ring of hell they belong. So, when you're ready to get closer to the dark, I'll be dressed for you, and the door is open for you to come closer.
What do you do when 15 years of your life turns out to be built on something that wasn't true? Lora had to answer that question the hard way, on the floor of her own home, gagging from the shock of what she had just read in her husband's email. But this isn't just a betrayal story. It's a story about a recovering perfectionist learning that she could lose everything and still be okay.
Our youngest son was about to graduate from high school, and I thought, yay! I'm finally free. I can start traveling because my husband travels, like I said, for work. That's when I found out he had been cheating on me. And not only just cheating, he had been cheating for 15 years.
You're listening to the Life Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Gilhooly. This show is built around one simple idea, that sometimes a single moment can change how we see everything. Each week, I talk with someone about the moment that shifted their life and how they learned to live differently after it. These are not stories about having it all figured out. They are stories about what it looks like to keep going once the story changes. Thank you for being here. Here's today's story. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Life Shift Podcast. I am here with Lora. Hello, Lora.
Hi, I'm so excited to have our conversation.
Well, thank you for wanting to have it. I think it's really such an honor for me to talk to essentially strangers that I've never met before about really personal experiences that they've gone through, life shift moments that have turned them into the version that they are today. And I just think of like the younger version of me and how maybe uncomfortable I would have been, hearing these stories. And now I just lean in because I think we can find ourselves in so many other people's stories, even if the experience is wildly different.
Yeah, I agree. And so many things are like taboo. We can't talk about it. And I really think we should talk about it.
Yeah, I think we're getting better about it. I think especially like this younger generation coming up now, I feel like they're more in touch with unapologetically feeling things. Whereas I don't know about you, but growing up for me, I would feel shame if I felt sad or I felt, I would feel like I shouldn't be thinking this way or I shouldn't be doing. And it's like, you're a human, like things are going to go through you're going to go through all these emotions and all of that's okay.
Right. Yeah. We're supposed to have them.
Yeah. So I think younger generations now are probably doing a little bit better, but maybe too much.
Right. There's that balance. We need a balance.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to this conversation today. Although a hard experience for you, I think there are so many people in the world that have unfortunately experienced something very similar and in the moment may feel completely helpless or hopeless. And maybe by listening to our conversation today, they feel seen, validated, or maybe they just feel inspired to take the next step because that's all we really can do in these life shift moments. So I look forward to the conversation. But before we get into it, maybe you can tell us who Lora is in 2026. Like, how do you show up in the world? How do you identify these days?
I really identify as raw and vulnerable. I really just see myself as somebody who finally shows up and I haven't gotten over all of my perfectionistic tendencies.
Probably never will.
Exactly. But I really do see myself as someone who is finally truly comfortable in her own skin.
I think I'm getting there as well. I think, mid 40s now, I feel pretty good. Like, I feel like I don't have to be apologetic about anything that I choose to do or feel anymore. So I think we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm almost 60, so wait until you hit 60. It's even more freeing.
Yeah, I bet. That's what I hear on this podcast. I hear and the things that people are still doing in their 70s and 80s, you're like, let's go. I got like half my life left. Anyway, thanks for sharing a little bit about that. I love that you led with like raw and real, and that feels good. So I look forward to this. But maybe you can paint the picture of Lora leading up to this life shift moment, and that might include going back to childhood, or however you want to give us this before version of you to get a good understanding of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most relevant piece of my childhood is the fact that not only am I an only child,
Me too.
but I'm only, oh, hey, I love it. But I'm also an only grandchild on both sides and only great grandchild on both sides. And while sometimes people are like, oh my God, you must be so spoiled. That would be amazing. Yes. And I also had all the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just you. And there is this huge performance pressure. I have to please everybody. So I did. I spent pretty much my whole life. It's not that I was consciously striving to being perfect, but I did the right thing. I was the good girl. I was the good student. I went to law school. I always excelled at things. And I was very proud of that. You know, I'm doing the right things. I got married. I had my kids. I had the house. I really tried to be a good hostess, a good wife, a good mom. I tried to keep my body in shape. I tried to keep the house decorated and clean and picked up. You know, there's that part of me that's like, you just do it right. You just lean it and you do it right.
Yeah. And just it's like, did you have a fear of failure? I did as well, because I thought the repercussions were going to be crazy, although they wouldn't have been, but my mind thought they would be.
Right. And I'm not even sure what I thought the repercussions would be. I think I thought I would disappoint myself, and I didn't want to let myself down.
Yeah. So there was no fear of being perfect from like parents or your grandparents or anything, more of just like good stuff. Like they wanted you to be happy.
You know, it was my role to be perfect.
Okay.
Everybody was always like, you know, we love you and we're so proud of you. And like, I was a big dancer, you know, so my grandparents would spend the money to send me out of state to my ballet summer schools. And in college, I was a pom-pom and cheerleader. So, you know, my whole family would come together. We'll give you the money for camp. We'll give you the money for uniforms. And everybody was very loving and very kind, but that was my role. It's not like anybody said, you have to have straight A's or we're going to punish you. But I just knew that was my role. I was the one who did it right.
I could see an underlying like subconscious thing, like people are paying for this. Like I better do really, really great. People are taking time out of work to go here, here, and here. But yeah, I mean, I love that you had that rule for yourself. It's not really that toxic on the surface, right? But you can probably, looking back on it, go, maybe I didn't need to do all that.
Yeah, exactly. And like that, you talk about fear of failure. To me, even as an adult raising kids, I stayed at home for many years. I kept things perfect. And sometimes I think, why am I not sleeping when the babies are sleeping? Why am I catching up on the laundry like it's just me? Nobody cares. My husband traveled a lot. And yet still, I had to keep things perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think there's also something that when it becomes a habit. It's not even like a choice anymore. Like probably the first couple of years you were doing it, and you probably got the recognition both internally and externally. So it was like, keep it up. And by the time you're an adult, I mean, for me, it just was ingrained in me. It wasn't like I'm sure I was trying, but I wasn't like consciously like, oh, I have to be perfect now.
Right. It becomes your identity. You know, I like how you said that, because it does. Who is Laura? Well, she's the perfect one. You know, who is Matt? Well, he's the one who does all of this.
Yeah.
It's becomes who you are. And then you don't realize, oh, I have become that, but is that really who I am?
Yeah. Did you have those moments where you were thinking, is this who I am? Or were you still on the train of like this, you know, this is how it goes. There's no other option.
Yeah. I really just thought that's who I was. And, you know, sometimes you hear things about, you don't have to do this or you don't have to be that. And I think, but this is who I am. I love taking care of things. I love having a perfect environment. And I mean, mind you, did things fall apart? Of course they did.
What happened in those moments though? Like say in college, like something went not your way. Like how were you as a human reacting to that moment?
I would double down. Okay. I would stay up late. I would study more. I would And my mom did that too. She was the kind of mom who would be like, that's okay. I'm just going to stay up late and everybody's going to wake up in the morning and things will be miraculously beautiful. So that's how I was. It's like, I don't need to sleep. I'll take care of it.
Yeah. Did any of these perfectionism, this happened to me, so that's why I'm asking. I'm wondering if any of those traits that you had took you down like a semi-dangerous road in maybe perfect body. I think a lot of people could go a wrong direction of eating, have disordered eating or over exercising. Did you get any of those things because of the perfectionism?
Fortunately, I didn't.
That's great.
I really didn't. I love feeling good in my body. Having a background in dance, I'm aware of how I feel and how I function. And I still teach fitness. I've taught fitness since 1988, so a long time. And to me, I love feeling strong. I love feeling healthy. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, this is getting a little chunky in here. You know what I mean? But it's never, fortunately, I've never struggled with that because I like feeling good too much.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think a lot of people just get tied up in being perfect, and sometimes you got to take the easy way, or you got to take this, this way is a little bit quicker to do. So
right.
So you're living this life of impressing others, but also impressing yourself, right? There's still this internal drive to do it. It's not all about gaining happiness from others.
Right.
Is there any of that?
Very high standards for myself.
Okay.
Was it enjoyable to have other people say, oh my God, you're amazing, and then you're like, I know, right? And it feels good. But have always and still am very internally motivated.
That's great.
Yeah.
I cannot relate.
That's okay.
I mean, at least for growing up, it was so, like, looking back now, I'm like, oh, what a waste. All those things that you did for other people when obviously they didn't care, so that's, I mean, having this internal drive, it makes the perfectionism less icky, or does it?
Yes. Yes. And I think it makes it less icky, but then I think it makes it insidious on a different level. Because if you're pleasing other people, that obviously gets toxic. And then it's more obvious. It's overt. So then you're like, oh, okay, I can back away from that. But when it's all going on inside, I just want to be the perfect wife. I just want to be the perfect lawyer. No, kids are important. I just want to be the perfect mom. When you're meeting your own standards, it's covert. So it's all okay because it's all within you.
So would you say it's a little bit of a mask, or allows you to mask?
Definitely.
On purpose, or on like on a subconscious level?
Subconscious. Okay. I honestly did not see that for the longest time. Okay. If people would have said to me, are you a perfectionist? I'd have been like, no, I just do things right.
I mean, honest. So you're perfectly honest with them, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes.
So you're going through life, you're married, you have kids, you got your law degree, you're practicing, like all the things are going right in your life, and you're not feeling. One question before we get further into your story: do you feel happy all the time, or do you force yourself to feel happy all the time in that period, or are you allowing yourself for darker moments and things that come in between?
Oh, I love that. Mostly, I am happy. The reason that I am mostly happy is because I'm constantly meeting my own standards. You know what I mean? It's like, yay, I did this. Yay, I did this. Yay. However, I had an undercurrent of emotional loneliness. I had an undercurrent of resentment. You just said something a couple minutes ago, like, why did I waste my time doing all those things for other people? I would have those kind of pity party moments where it's like, nobody sees me and I made it so perfect and nobody cared. So I'm happy, but I'm a little bit resentful and I'm a little bit lonely.
Which then can manifest to try to be more perfect.
Yes.
Did that happen to you?
Yes.
I could see that. Yeah. It's hard because did you on the outside look Pollyanna-ish to other people? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Very much.
Okay.
Very much.
I mean, so totally human understanding. Like we're just trying to show up as we think other people want to see us and as we want to see us ourselves. But then there's the human emotions that come into it. And then that can be insidious, the word you use, of like really forcing you to do more because you don't want to feel that way. So maybe if I do a little bit more, they'll be happy about it. Right. Everything will be better. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
challenging.
It is.
It
And like,
snowballs.
it does. And my mom and my best friend were the two people that I would vent to.
Okay.
But they were very much like me too. So we're like, well, just dig in. We can just do more.
You need like a negative Nancy in your life.
Right.
To knock you down a few pegs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whack me across the face and say, come on, Lora.
Yeah. So does that undercurrent start growing as you go through your story, or is like, bring us closer to this life shift moment if this feels like the before version of you that we've described?
Yeah. It ebbs and it flows.
Okay.
I am a naturally positive person. I lean into all of the positive psychology and things like that, because it's like, hey, I want to do this. I want to be good. I am happy. Life is hard. Marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. Finances are hard. Holidays are hard. You know what I mean? So it ebbs and it flows. But I think I thought I had a really good life. My husband and I met in law school. We had a ton of fun together. I loved being a mom. My kids were so much fun. We live in Colorado. We hike. We go to Florida and go to the beach. Like, we do all these great things. So it ebbs and it flows. But I really thought I was a lucky one. I worked hard and I made life really good. And it was really good.
Okay.
But there's also bad moments.
Yeah. Did you feel happy?
Mostly,
or were you
I
telling yourself you were happy in those happy moments?
I'm
such a negative Nancy. Sorry about
no,
that.
no. I'm glad, because it's both.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to describe. Like, there would be moments where I'm happy. We're doing something fun. We're hiking as a family. We're having fun. My husband would say something. I think, what a jerk. And then you start spiraling in your head like, then, and the last time he did this, and then he said then, why do I put up with this? And blah, 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 blah. And then it kind of like sucks you down. And then you put on a happy face because, oh, we're with the kids and we're out seeing fall leaves. I need to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both. And that's why I said it ebbs and it flows. It's not very consistent.
Yeah. That's a challenge. But I think on the surface, everyone else would have thought you were happy. You were happy in moments.
In moments.
And however we define happy, maybe the way you define happy now is different than the way you would define happy before.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And my husband traveled a half-time for work.
Okay.
And that was hard. It's hard to be alone. Our kids are 22 months apart. It's hard. It's just hard to do it all on your own. So there would be moments like that where you're like, another trip? Are you freaking kidding me? And then you're more overtly irritated. Oh, great. You have another trip? Well, they had the stomach flu and I was home alone. So, there's moments. It's all things in all moments. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think parents would feel that even without a traveling spouse, like, I'm taking care of this and then you're not doing that. We're humans. Yeah. We hit into emotions and that's how it happens. So you're living what would seem on the outside an idyllic life. What brings you to, what splits your life into this before and after?
Yeah, it was a pretty darn good life and it was about to get better. Our youngest son was about to graduate from high school. And I thought, yay, I'm finally free. I can start traveling because my husband travels, like I said, for work. I can start going. Like, I don't have to hold the fort down all the time. That's when I found out he had been cheating on me. And not only just cheating, he had been cheating for 15 years. Yeah, with 5 different women. And to say that my life shattered, you look back over 15 years, what was real? That was pretty much my kid's whole lifetime. My son had just turned 18.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
holidays, Christmases, other graduations, event. How?
Yeah. This is going to be too much probably to ask, but how did you find out? Did you find out or did someone tell you or?
A variety. I mean, when there's that much cheating going on, it comes out in waves. One, I found some messages on Facebook. Another, the woman had sent me a screenshot of a picture that he had sent, and she put it in a card and mailed it to us. Another one I had found out when I went to his email and started searching in his sent items folder. And then the other two he told me about.
What part hit you the biggest?
The 15-year one.
Okay. And
Yeah.
like, what was that finding out one? Like, which one was like not which one, the smack in the face moment for you? Would you say that it was the old Lora was no longer?
It was finding out about the long-term one. And that was what I found when I went to his sent items folder. And it was an email he had sent 14 years earlier. And that you hear people say, I fell to my knees. I did. My body collapsed. It was involuntary. And it was like I started gagging because I needed to throw up. I mean, it was so visceral, because the others, you're like, okay, well, this is recent, or, oh, well, this is, and then you think this email was sent 14 years ago and she was saying, let's celebrate our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, everything dropped.
Right, because that's a full relationship that you can have with someone over that period of time. Yet here you are living in the house, building the dream for him and your children and yourself, of course, but thinking you're doing everything, not everything, but you're doing the right things. You're choosing the right things to support the family and all the family's needs. Yeah. And here it is like, well, I guess I wasn't enough. Did you get that feeling?
Oh my God, yes. And I'm also going to go back to something you said. I was doing everything for him, because at some point it's hard to be two working parents, and his career with all of his travel, I stepped away from my career. And that was our choice, that we will have me stay home so he can progress further and faster in his career. So that very much was like, no, I am doing everything. I am the one that's home while you're gone 2.5 weeks a month. So that,
as much as you love your kids, you're also like, I gave up my life, my career over here, which usually, we balance a bunch of things. I can't imagine you fell to the floor. This is natural. I think everyone would have this, like, I can't, like, you literally can't move, can't function. You're not who you were ever again. What do you do? Like, what happens, like, the next day? Like, how do you move through the world now, knowing all this, and like supporting yourself? Because at this point, you should do that first, right? But you have kids, and I'm sure that came into your mind and all the pieces that came with that. But what does the next day look like for you?
Yeah, it was weird, because it would vacillate between, I am on the floor sobbing, I cannot get up, I cannot do anything, and I got to get my son home from school. We've got a graduation party in 3 weeks. It's time to go to his final concert. Oh, look, we have, all of the events. And I was, teaching fitness, and I was seeing some clients. And so it's like, in these moments, you pull it all together, and you're at the band concert going, yay! And then you come home and you completely unhinge, and you think, I can't get up anymore. Eating and sleeping were impossible.
Do you see those moments, those busy moments, as somewhat of a savior in some capacity?
Yes.
You can say no. You can tell me I'm wildly wrong.
No, what I think was good about it is it reminded me that life does go on. And there was something really strong about that, because I felt like I didn't know how I could function. I didn't know how I could talk to people. I didn't know how I could tell this story. I didn't know truly, and that sounds so crazy, but I didn't know how it was all going to pull together. And I kept thinking, there's so much to figure out. And do I move out, or does he move out? And what happens with the kids? And I don't want to ruin my son's senior year. How often do you graduate from high school? I don't want to miss prom. I don't want to ruin his graduation ceremony. So having moments where I could smile and celebrate and be like, oh yeah, the world is still spinning.
Which is also a smack in the face sometimes too, when you're going through it. You're like, guys, give me a break. Give me a break here. Yeah. Did you fall into yourself? I've dealt with infidelity before, and I started rationalizing their decisions because of something I did. Did any of that play with your brain?
Early on, it was, I'm stupid. I'm a horrible conversationalist. I'm ugly. I must be bad in bed. I must have caused this because like it was everything. How could I be so stupid? And then since I was such a perfectionist too, how could I have thought I was good? How could I have thought I created this loving, happy home? How stupid can I be? Because I thought I was doing a good job.
Yeah. That's so unfortunately relatable for so many people, man, woman, however you identify. I think there's something about that break of trust, and then to protect ourselves, I think we do that because we're like, oh well, see, it was like this is my fault, somehow, and I don't know how that protects ourselves, but it feels like it does at the time, and it's just a weird. You're in this situation where you're kind of, I don't know about you, I was like kind of floating through the next couple months of like making bad decisions. Did you do that? Did you make bad decisions during that time?
I was kind of more in a state of freeze than in even making decisions. It was complete collapse, complete lay on the floor and sob. And then it was, I have to do what's in front of me, which was, I got to get to the graduation party. I've got to get the invites out. So I was very functional with that. Fortunately, my husband had moved out, so I didn't have to think about that. He got an extended stay hotel and just moved out that day, that moment. So I didn't have to make any decisions about where am I going to go and what am I going to do. I just lived and did exactly what I needed to do, which was the most that I could do.
Yeah. And at what point in this journey were you ready to tackle rebuilding you? And like what comes next? Was it after your son graduated and did his thing, or?
It was,
How long ago was this, by the way?
8 years ago.
8 years. Okay.
Yeah. I was so desperate. I could not get my feet on the ground. I wasn't suicidal. I will say that. I wasn't suicidal, but I was completely despondent. So I started right away trying to take care of myself because I was so despondent. And by that, I mean, I went and saw a therapist, which wasn't actually the best thing in the world because she wasn't quite tuned in to what needed to be done. I got a bunch of books. I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I started like downloading some, programs that I'd find on the internet. I was just desperate to start feeding myself something. And I started that probably 2 days later, just because I was so despondent.
Yeah. Well, you make a good point about therapists. Therapy is good, but it also takes some work, right? Like we have to find the right person. Not the first person you choose is most likely not going to be the one you find success with, because, just like friends and whatnot, you have to find the people that you can trust and feel. And like the one that worked for me, on paper, you would have been like, this is a no-go. Like this is not going to work. And that was the person that worked for me. So kudos to you for trying it and, finding out that did you find a different person, or did you kind of give up on that therapy route for a little bit?
I went through a couple of different therapists, and it was just, they're not getting it. They're totally not getting it. And I did a lot better kind of building my own program, because I have my own unique brand of like metaphysical spirituality and energy work. So I'd be like, I know somebody who does great Reiki. I'm doing that. I know somebody who does, I'm doing that. So I really just ping ponged around.
Yeah.
And whenever something felt good, it was like, I'm booking another session.
I mean, that's good. That's therapy.
It is.
I mean, that's therapy. Talk therapy is one modality, but there's so many different things. I've talked to so many people about all these different things that people have tried. I'm like, I didn't even know that existed. And good for you for finding that and finding what works for you. Did you find that this concoction of things that you created for yourself started helping at some point beyond like oh, that one felt good, let me book another session? But did you start to feel different?
It took a while, but yes.
Okay.
I did start to feel different.
How long did it take?
I was going to say probably the first solid month, my whole focus was, I want this to go away. I want this to go away. How can I not remember this anymore? I want this to go away. I don't want this to be true.
Right.
And I was obsessed with that. Then after kind of that first month, same thing. I was doing things and I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling more solid. And then that kind of moved into, but I'm going to tell this story. I didn't think this consciously, but I'm going to tell this story the rest of my life because my life has now been ruined. Now that my life has been ruined, I can. Now that my life, and then it was maybe 3 or 4 months later where all of a sudden I had this realization. They do not get to ruin my life. Like their decisions, they don't have to impact me. And that was this huge revelation that I can still be me. What do you mean I can still be me? They ruined me. And it was like, no, I can still be me. Whoa. I can be me, but I can be stronger. And it was maybe that 4-month mark that things really started shifting for me.
Yeah. Do you know what brought you to that point? Or was it just a
couple
collection?
There was a couple of different things. I had a friend say to me, because I said, who's ever going to believe me and who's going to trust me and all this stuff, because I was doing some life coaching and working with people in the wellness space. And he was like, dude, wake up. They're going to trust you more now if they see that you've gone through something and that you didn't collapse. And I was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Because as the perfectionist, if you're not perfect, what are you worth? And that was a huge shift. And then also, and I want to tread lightly here, but my husband and I talked a lot. We talked incessantly. We texted incessantly. We unpacked. We did so much together, and it wasn't always perfect, but we did a lot of texting because it wouldn't escalate arguments. But it was one of those things where we started seeing each other, and I started being able to see myself and to see him and to see our situation in a totally different light. And that was also incredibly healing.
Yeah. Well, being able to, did it feel like you were talking deeply for the first time in a while?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think as a perfectionist, you don't want to shake the snow globe too much, right? Like, I feel like you don't want to, did you not, like, I'm sure you had deep conversations before, like you're a married couple, but did you feel like you were maybe tiptoeing at times or before?
Yes. A little bit of tiptoeing. It was more that we were both overachievers. We were both focused on doing things right. So the focus was on how do we do things better? You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, I'm not going to bug you with my bad mood. And you're not going to stress me out with your whatever. Let's just deal with your own stuff. And come on, we're really busy.
Yeah.
Life is really busy. It's like, we've got these things to do. Just let it go. Move on.
And I would imagine those text message conversations, you fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know, kind of discover maybe what made him make those decisions, which were likely not anything to do with you in most cases, but you kind of understand the wounds that maybe he had that brought him to those decisions, and then people get stuck in them.
Yeah. And
not to excuse anything, but
no,
just to say.
No. And that's why I said I want to tread lightly, because sometimes people have a very strong reaction to cheating. Cut them out, be done. Once a cheater, always a cheater. No excuses. There are no excuses. Cheating is a choice. It's never okay. And yet still, there are reasons people do things. And seriously, we had been together, what, 22 years at that point. I know you. You know me. What's going on? And to finally start uncovering, oh, that makes complete sense. I didn't know that. You were hiding that. Wait, what? That makes total sense.
Yeah. But does that, I'm going to tread lightly here. I'm not, I'm just going to ask you, does that give you some kind of feeling that like, why didn't I notice that? Or why didn't I know that over 20 years? Not to put shame into your life, but I'm just curious.
And that's part of it. Like, how do I learn these things and not take on the shame? Both. There were moments where I felt like I must have been so clueless. But here's how it played out. He has a severe trauma background. He was severely abused in all the ways you can imagine abuse, taken away from his parents, foster kid. Like, it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he was growing up in the 70s, we didn't have a lot of therapy. We didn't talk about things. You just move on and you
Just
get
push
over
it
it.
down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I met him, he was my rock. He didn't have emotions. He's big and strong and manly man. And this is great. So I didn't know that. I understand trauma now. I understand what a trauma response looks like. I didn't then. I have to give myself compassion. I have to give myself grace. I didn't know what I didn't know. He didn't know what he didn't know. So yeah, there's the moments where I'll be like, oh my gosh, that was the worst thing to do. Like, he would go into a trauma response and I would poke. Come on, you got to do blah, blah, blah. I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think what your story is really just displaying is that like we're all human and we all make choices. Sometimes they're good choices, sometimes they're not good choices, and sometimes the choices that we make hurt other people. And unfortunately, all of that is kind of okay because we're all kind of figuring it out as we go. And we can't be perfect, nor do we want to be perfect, nor would we wish what you experienced or what your husband experienced on anyone else. It's this weird like situation where you're like, I get it, but also I don't want it, and I don't want to get it.
Right. But I promise you, I wouldn't have come to be who I am without this experience. And on his side too, he would have never dealt with his trauma before. Mm-hmm. And then when he started dealing with his trauma, then he reached out to cousins and brothers and everybody else and let's all talk. Yes, I was abused by them too. Yes, I was abused. Oh, wait, you're seeing a therapist. How does that work? You can talk about it.
Yeah.
So it creates ripples of healing. And do I want to have this story? No. Do I want to be on this podcast talking about it? Like, no.
Rude.
But, right, I know.
No, I get it.
Yeah, but as long as we're here, we've got to keep talking about it, because I wish I would have known you can have your life fall apart and it can still be really good.
Yeah. No, I think in a small way, that's what this podcast is for me, is that other people out there might be the Lora on the floor and they get to hear your conversation and like, oh, maybe I do need to start poking my own bear to figure out how I move through, that it is possible to move through. And so it's the same thing as you described for your husband and the ripple effect in his own family, in his own side of the family. I think I think it's just all about communicating at the end of the day, right? And being open with the things that maybe we were told before that we shouldn't talk about. Mm-hmm. And you should hold that.
Yeah. And I love what you said about other people listening to like my story now, because one of the things I did is I got on Facebook and there's all these Facebook groups, the betrayed wife. Oh my God, there's some bitter people out there, and then you hear all these horrible stories. Don't ever talk to him again. And what else has he done to you? And like, wow, every person who has ever had a really bad experience is out there sharing it. And it's so easy to read all of that and to just affirm for yourself how horrible it is and what a horrible person they are and what a horrible person you are. And no man out there is going to be safe. And,
Yeah.
you know,
I'll tell you, it's very easy to stay in that space though. And you think those people that are bitter, they don't have the tools to process for themselves and to let that element out of the mad part. Like, I think of it very similar to in the past. I definitely went through depression and whatnot throughout my life. And it's so much easier to stay depressed than it is to find your way through and out. So like, yes, I'm like, that's a really toxic place for people to go when they're just looking for help. But at the same time, then that compassion part goes in and it's like, it's so much easier to stay there. It's so much easier to stay mad and blame someone else. Not that it's your fault, but keep that blame anger than to let it go and carry on with your life. It's like depression for me. It's just, you just put on sad music and then you just stay in a blank, like it's so much easier than go out and be. So,
right.
What would you say is like, I mean, you feel very confident. My guess is before you also felt confident, but internal structures maybe have changed or came across?
Before I wore a very confident mask in a lot of ways. Yes, I was confident with a lot of things. And there was that mask that I've got this under control. It's fine. And my level of confidence now is I can stand in the mess and be like, woohoo, it's fine. I'm totally in the mess. Where before it would have kind of unhinged me. I would have been upset about it. We got to stop and redo that. Whereas today I'm like, yeah, we're all good.
So would you say that your stress levels are lower now?
I love that.
It sounds like they'd be more relaxing in this version of you.
Yeah, it's more relaxing in a lot of ways. And you know how sometimes when you know more, and then there's more to do. So I'm more relaxed in a lot of ways, yes. But I also know there's places deeper within me that can still be excavated.
Which is a lot more work than putting on a good dinner party.
Yes.
It's harder work. But you're doing it fully for yourself this time, it seems. What would you say the biggest difference between you now and you before is?
Like I mentioned earlier, I've always been internally motivated, but it's a different kind of internal motivation now. It's not performative. Before there was a lot of performance around it. I did the right things. And now I'm like, I don't care if it's the right thing or the wrong thing. I'm doing what really feels like my soul's calling in this moment. If I feel like sitting, like this afternoon, I spent some time sitting on the patio reading. I would have never done that before. But I was like, it's been really busy. I need a break. I'm just going to go out and read a chapter. I left everybody to figure things out for themselves. Where before it had been like, oh, I'm cleaning the kitchen and can I make you some fresh iced tea? And I was going to be perfect.
See, stress seems much lower choosing to read a book on the porch than making people some finger sandwiches or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, I mean, I think there's something to be said about finding that comfort in just being versus finding how to be something. I don't know where that came from, but it just, for me, it's like I finally settled into like, this is me and take it or leave it. So I'm curious if this new version of you, do you have a different set? Like, do you have new friends and old friends have kind of gone away because that was a different version of you? Or would you say your life is on the surface looks pretty similar to before?
Life looks fairly similar to how it was before. I'm very blessed and fortunate that my friends have stayed with me. I had some more superficial friends be like, you are weak. Here's kind of the conclusion of the story. My husband and I got back together. And there was a lot of judgment around that from some people. How could you do that? Well, it's my life and I get to choose, first of all. And whatever I choose, it's totally my business. So there was some stress around that. I'd say 99.9% of my friends have stayed. The ones that have left, that's fine. I do have new friendships now. I feel like my friendships have gotten deeper because, again, I was the one that would host things, and I was the one that really felt like I needed to. I'm the one that initiates the plans. I'm the one that takes care of things. And now it's just like, hey, come on over. Things are a mess. I don't care. I'm in my pajamas. Show up. It's fine.
Yeah. No, I ask that because I think when we as humans evolve, sometimes the friends that showed up for certain things don't need to be coming around anymore because they wanted to just come to the great party that you threw, or they just want to, like, they know you're going to set them up with something really great to experience. And now it's like, well, she's doing her own thing and it's not serving me anymore. So that's why I was just curious. I think when we evolve as humans, the young version of us, or at least I'll speak for myself, the young version of me felt like I needed to keep hold of everything because if I lose it, that means I'm failing. And, you know, but now I'm like, my friend group is much smaller, but much deeper, as you've kind of described, because, you know, some people will remain acquaintance / friends, but some people I'm inviting in my house.
Exactly. Now, this is a big shift. What the betrayal really, like the mirror that it held up to me, was all the ways I was betraying myself. All of the ways I put my own needs last, all of the ways I didn't stand up for myself. I took care of others, but I didn't take care of me. So one of the things, like with my friends before, if somebody asks, sure, I'll go. And now I'm like, I don't have the energy for that right now. Or I need to leave early. This is too much. Or no, we can't talk about that situation again. It's draining to me. I've got a lot stronger, clearer boundaries, and I say no. And like that, they're my deep friends. They don't go away. They respect it.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that it might also make it easier now that your kids are out of the house to be able to, because I feel like lots of women, lots of parents put other people's needs ahead of theirs, and that happens to be their children, and that makes sense to me. But it sounds like you were doing it for like extended family, and
I was doing it for everyone.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. Do you feel like a new lease on life, or do you just feel like this is just a evolved version of yourself? Do you feel like you're taking bigger risks, all those things that might come with it?
Definitely bigger risks, because in a huge sense, I truly lost everything. 15 years of life. Yeah. Like my existence shattered, my identity shattered. Everything I thought was true was not true. And my life was taken away from me. And I was still okay. Wait, what? So it's kind of made me fear-free in a way. I can lose it all and I know I'll be fine. Where before I can't lose money, title, status, home, friends, family. No, it's I want it. Don't get me wrong, but whatever I lose, if I have me, I can rebuild and it's all okay.
How's your relationship with your children? Is it better now, or is it the same? Do you feel like it was always great, or do you think that you were holding things back before and now you can be different with them?
I always had a really close relationship with them, especially because my husband traveled so much.
That's true.
We were alone. They, big boys too, we're a little bit more vulnerable now. They're a little bit more tender. They're a little bit more, and I hate to use the word protective because it's not quite that, but part of it is they're growing older too. But we have a really neat relationship. And because of it, sometimes the things they tell me, I think, whoa, I would have never told my parents that. But we talk about everything. And I really appreciate that because they know there's no judgment. They know my love for them is unconditional. They know they can show up, they can screw up. We'll talk it through. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. It seems like the whole moral to your story is communication is like what we all need, because
Yeah.
so many of the things that you mentioned now, like the wins are all in being vulnerable, communicating, sharing what you need, what others need, what you don't want to do for people, what you don't want to do for yourself with each other. It sounds like communication would have been beautiful beforehand with your husband to help him move through whatever vulnerabilities he didn't want to share. Like it, so at the end of the day, like the way we connect with each other should be by being open and not hiding pieces of ourselves. And the right people we're going to find if we're truly ourselves, right? Like you're going to make better friends if you show up fully Laura, messes and all, whatever you need in your pajamas, however you want to show up. That's going to be your tribe of people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the younger version of myself, I would show up the way I thought that group of people needed to see me.
Yeah. And here's another spin on that,
Okay.
in a way
Also
takes
tell
it
me
a
I'm
little
wrong.
deeper. No, it's not wrong. It's a little bit deeper, I think. When you can't force somebody to participate in conversation, when you can't force somebody to be vulnerable and share. And again, I'm not saying that I was perfect, but there were so many times where I would have the emotional intelligence. I would want to be showing up fully, and my husband would block it because he couldn't do it. And I think sometimes there's danger in thinking I can do it for somebody else. If I just do more, I can get them to do it. And same thing with friendships. It's like communication is key, but you can't be the only one communicating. And those boundaries. So it's that other piece of the boundaries and I don't know what I should have done.
Yeah.
Because you can't force someone to meet you halfway.
I can't. No.
I want to learn. Teach me.
I would add to that. So let's just add to each other's things here. I would say, so I had a very surface level relationship with my mother's mother after my mom died. And I talked to my mom's twin brother for the first time when I was 30. So that tells you about that relationship. So at about late 20s, I decided this is a one-sided relationship. So I'm just going to ghost. Like she's my grandmother, but she's not participating in this relationship. It's just me. I think, so to add to this conversation, I think even though she was a stone wall as it relates to emotions, I think if I had showed up and said, this is what I'm feeling, and this is why I'm making the decision that I am, I would have met her at the halfway mark. However, it would be her decision on whether or not she would cross the line. And I think it would have felt better than it did, because I just felt like, oh, well, I'm taking the easy way out. I'm just abandoning. So I think there's the vulnerability ask that sometimes we shy away from when we see someone is a little shut down. And what has benefited me in the last, 15 years or so is showing up with my vulnerability out here for everyone to see. And if someone is ready, they will take a little step in because they know that I've done it. So adding a little to that, like I wouldn't, like if someone was shut down these days, I would be vulnerable still, meet them at that half point mark and then not push rather than not even walking up to the wall.
Yeah. I so agree with that. And like I was saying earlier, I was not trauma aware and trauma informed. I wish we all could grow up at, third grade, start learning what a trauma response is. Because I would show up sometimes in my vulnerable, wonderful state when he was having a full-blown shame spiral and trauma response, which would then provoke him in these weird ways and everything would go sideways. And today, I mentioned we're still together. Now I'll be like, oh, hey, I'm backing off. You go have your own little trauma response, whatever. I'm out of here. And like you said, then I'll come up in later and say something. I was feeling really emotionally neglected. It seemed like you were really struggling. Do you want to find some time to talk? And then sometimes, yeah, he'll say, no, not now. Or yeah, let's go grab a coffee.
Life, just keeps going. And you've built this newer, it's not a new version of you. It's just like you shook off some of the porcelain pieces and like you're more you, I guess.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much. Because I do feel more like When I was a kid, this is the analogy that always goes in my head. You'd play on the monkey bars, you'd swing on the swings, you're on the playground, you're totally unself-conscious. Everybody's running around, you're having fun, you're running up and down grass hills, you're just like, wee! That's more how I feel now.
Catch you at the local park on the monkey bars.
Yeah. So it's just like my energy is out here and it's playful, and I've always been a playful person and I'm enjoying it. And there was just so much that got layered and layered and layered on me that made me show up weird.
Yeah. Well, it served you because it
It
allowed
did.
you to, I mean, unfortunate hitting that betrayal mark. But had you not been that way before, would that have changed you in the same way?
Right.
I don't know. Had I got proper trauma therapy when I was 8, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Pretty sure. Hopefully, like in that way. So I think, life takes us on these adventures, and maybe if we buy into it, that's kind of what our point is.
Yeah.
Why we do it. So
yeah.
I really go ahead.
I was going to say, I like it. And I hope you like your story. And it's weird because sometimes I'll be like, I really love my betrayal story. And it's not that I love it, but I love who I've become because of it.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for me. I don't love that my mom died, and I wouldn't wish that on her. And if I could change it, I would want to, but I don't know if I would, because I definitely wouldn't be this version of myself. So it's a really tricky, hard thing to say, but here we are 100 years later, and it's it's a piece of my story that put me on a brand new path. But now I get to talk to people like you, and I appreciate you just kind of going on this journey and having this conversation in this way. But I'm sure there are people that have gone through something similar, or something about your story has resonated with them. So I'm curious, what's the best way to learn more about you, or get in your circle, or send you a message and say, hey, that really hit me right today, and this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through? What's the best way to find you?
Yeah. My website is loracheadle.com, and it's Lora. And if you are going through something that's a betrayal, I've got a free betrayal recovery guide. There's no strings. It's just betrayalrecoveryguide.com.
Oh, nice.
And it's just 5 things that you can do in the moment to start regulating when you can't get off the floor.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely put those links in the show notes so people can click on it. And I just really encourage people. Do you have social media or anything that you do?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that.
So I encourage people that are listening, and hear something or hear their story in yours, to reach out and just let you know, because the reason I do that is not to bother you, but rather I know the power that there is when you tell your story to someone for the first time. And so I just want people to feel that, because sometimes the stories in our heads are much scarier than when we put them into words and share them with other people. So if someone is compelled to reach out to you, I really encourage that. So I hope they can find your DMs and shoot you a message.
Yeah, you just email me. I mean, same thing. I remember the first time I told my story, and it was like such a relief that I didn't implode, because I thought I might die by telling this.
Yeah. And
so please,
you just get that
please
power.
tell me the story.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry that you went through that, but I'm glad to see that you are this version of you because of it, and the grace that you've extended to other parties of this betrayal, and that you've made a new version of your life with him. I think there's so much that we can learn from you as a human, and how we can move through and forgive, or maybe, whatever it may be, just finding the new versions of ourselves to create that new relationship. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, because it's true. What you lose, you think is the worst thing in the world, and then you discover, oh wait, there's more there.
Yeah. Life, the moments that we feel life is over, it can be a new beginning. And if we hear people like you, or we have people around us that are willing to be by our side as we pick up the pieces and start to create anew, we're lucky, and we can create whatever we want. Because, your story isn't, as much as people might want to say, your story probably isn't fully written, right? So you can keep going. So thank you for being a part of this show and being part of my healing journey just by hearing your story.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll say thank you to everyone for listening. And I will be back in a couple days with a brand new episode of the Life Shift Podcast. Thanks again, Lora. Thank you for listening to the Life Shift Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to www.thelifeshiftpodcast.com. There you can check out all the different episodes. You can check out the blog, some of the reviews for the podcast, and the Life Shift Journal. Links are there so you can purchase your own copy, whether in digital or print format. Thanks again.